become very important for a institution to differentiate itself, as well as the provide a very good result and output, and especially in the academic outcome. That has become very imperative. In this context, the currently what is happening with respect to goal-based coaching is that it is either met with coaching institutions, right, or through online learning, which are inefficient as well as expensive. So what we believe at MyPal, every student's right is personalized goal-based coaching in schools, right? And the personalized goal-based coaching should happen in the school itself. So we take a very interesting, view of this and try to use technology to solve this problem with MyPal, right? So MyPal is a personalized coaching platform specially designed for schools, where we involve teachers and empower the school's teachers, right? So how do we do it, isn't it? So our platform enables personalized conceptual gap and need-based assisted learning to the students in the school ecosystem. We achieve it by three, key interventions. Number one is, self-practice by the student, right? So when the student practices on our platform, we provide, curated content personalized to the student. It is based on the student's goals and the conceptual gaps that our platform finds, right? And we provide right recommendations to the student along with adaptive learning. Second is by the guidance from the teacher itself in the school or college, right? So teacher can guide better and be a coach. That can happen when the teacher actually gets the conceptual gap analysis very well, and teacher can evaluate the student better and fine-tune the student's performance, and he can adjust his lesson plan. That all can happen on our platform. Third is about the micro mentoring, where we connect the experts or mentors, and we just don't connect mentors and experts blindly. What we do is that we recommend on our platform the right mentors and right experts based on the precise gaps the student has in terms of their conceptual learning and students' own goal and needs, right? And we do it by with our personalized meta content that we have developed with our machine learning algorithms and robust integrated hybrid technology platform that we have developed. So essentially, some of the key problems that we are solving are: number one, huge content and poor fundamentals, right? This is we are solving by personalizing the content and improving the quality of the content. Second is that very key for a competitive test success is conceptual clarity. Unless a student has conceptual clarity, the competitive test success is not guaranteed. So we understand the conceptual gaps of the students and give precise recommendations so that conceptually the student gets much more clarity and he can ace the difficult problems in the competitive examination. Third is that different students have different goals and options, right? It's not just about joining an IIT. There are very good other engineering colleges. There is architecture courses available, or there is agriculture. There are so many other options. So, but student doesn't have a prescribed path towards these goals. So we provide this by a personalized goal-based approach on our platform. Major factor is that we believe schools can't be replaced. Schools or colleges are the integral part of the system. So we spend a significant where students spend significant time and energy in school itself, right? So coaching platform that we have designed is involving the school teachers and specially designed for schools.
Thank you, Vinay.
So,
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vinay. So now one question I had for you was, I wanted to play a little bit of the devil's advocate today. Like,
Sure.
I'm sure from your experience, your entire team's experience, Shiv Prasad, Rahul, Uday, and yourself, obviously, you must have seen that education has become extremely commercialized, especially school-based education. So in that kind of a, where almost everything is commercialized today, how can we, improve the school-based learning ecosystem, and how are you looking at it, and how would you like to improve it from your team side? It's become heavily commercialized, right? So I mean, and then if somewhere in that, the whole process about what do you call, the whole process where the student should be at the center of all the learning, that is somewhere lost, So how is your team looking to change that approach?
Right, very good question, Ashish. See, what is happening, right? For example, there are many online players who are actually, you can say, some say that it's a daylight robbery also, right? Like, they are charging 80,000 to 1 lakh rupees for some coaching. See, it is only providing to a very high middle class or rich class people, right? So, but that is not the way education should be conducted, right? So how we approach this is that involve with the school, right? Go along with the schools and colleges, empower the local teachers, right? So what local teachers lack, they lack the right set of tools where they can even teach better using some platform where the good content is available and good analytics is available. So we are trying to go along with the teachers and provide these two aspects. Third is that we are trying to reduce the cost for the student, not having have to get coaching from remote places. They can get coaching from their own schools or colleges and provide them the right content, right? And also give them the goal-based approach. Now, a student wants to join an engineering college in RVC Bangalore, right? Or he wants to join a Surathkal engineering college, right? So for that, if you can provide the right goal-based approach, the cost can definitely come down. And when you personalize the content for him, right? Overall, as a platform, there is no much commercialized cost involved for the students. So you can bring down the cost and improve the quality. And this is the approach that we are following. And hopefully in medium to long term, we can definitely scale this part.
Great. Okay, so now you mentioned something about machine learning and artificial intelligence. So what kind of if it's possible to disclose, or do you have a patent filed in this space, or are you working with common machine learning algorithms here to enable learning outcomes? How are you going about this?
Right. So, Ashish, we don't have any patent in technology yet, right? But our approach is simple, right? You take the content, right? Add the intelligence over the content. What we call it a meta content, or you can say where you take a content and add difficulty level for a question, right? You understand and create a conceptual graph or concept mapping for a lot of concepts that a student has to go through. Now, only algorithms cannot change this, right? So for a pure personalized experience, both the content as well as algorithm is important. What algorithm can do, algorithm can act on the right content, understand the student's level and his goals, and based on that the algorithms can provide him the personalized content, right? So our machine learning algorithms are fine tuned to improving the content recommendation to the student, right? But that cannot happen in isolation. So it can happen in an integrated approach where you have a right content, the quality of the content is good, you have right meta content on top of the whole piece, then you have a right algorithms. When all of the three building blocks work together, then you have a very good experience to the student in terms of personalized goal-based learning, right? So this is our approach, and we are using common algorithms as of now. But we are actually developing some critical advantages involving our both content as well as algorithms, which will definitely help in student experience and teacher experience.
Okay, great. Okay. So now this is a very basic question from a student's perspective. I thought I will ask. Our Indian education system for a long time, it's been based on learning by heart or learning by rote. Where the whole creativity aspect is crushed. It's very unfortunate.
Right.
For a long time, our Indian education system was based that you just take the book by hearted and then just basically vomit it out in the exam. That's how it was for a long time. It's changing now a bit, but it's still not sufficient. To compete in today's world, the kids that come out from our school, for them to compete in today's world where you have to think on your feet, and the creativity is a very critical aspect there, because you need to be able to think creative, whether you're an engineer, a doctor, or I don't know, painter, carpenter, mechanic. It really doesn't matter, but you should be able to think creatively. So how does your platform enable students, to think creatively? Maybe if they would like to explore a little more, beyond what is in the course curriculum, is it possible for them to branch around a little bit and look around a little bit within the same platform itself, without resorting to Google for everything?
Right.
Yeah.
So Ashish, a very important question that you raised. Actually, if a student has to really perform better in the competitive examinations, his conceptual fundamentals have to be really good, right? And it's not that you have to try and remember so many aspects and try to solve all kind of problems, right? You have to understand the conceptual and you should have a conceptual clarity and understand the fundamentals very well, so that student can perform at competitive examination, as well as overall it improves learning, right? So how do we tackle this? On our platform, everything is centered around the conceptual learning, okay? And it is not just high level concepts. What we have done is that we have taken the whole syllabus and created a granular concepts, right? So we have gone deep, and our content has been tagged with the granular concepts, and even questions are tagged with multiple granular concepts their questions will belong to, right? So whenever student practices on a platform, he gets that understanding where I am lacking conceptually, right? So that he can go back and understand that concept. Now what we are also doing is that, based on that the gap that we find for the student, we are providing him with some small video content, right, which will make him to understand the concepts. It need not be the video from YouTube or anywhere else. It can be video from their own teacher itself, right, only focusing on the concept that student has to tackle and has to master, right? This is we are trying to solve at a fundamental level. One more thing that we are trying to do is that we are a content platform, right? So the standard content that we have is from our content partner. Like currently we are partnered with, for example, Universal Books, Dr. RK Classes, many other content partners, right? But we are ourselves creating a different kind of a content. We call it a think content, where it is more tuned towards improving the imagination of the student, right? Understanding and correlating his conceptual thinking with the day-to-day happening, which is around for the student itself, right? So our focus is on improving the fundamental concepts and understanding. That is where we think we are different, and we really want to invest and improve there.
Great. Okay, because now you mentioned about IIT as well as training classes. So, I mean, I will bring you back to the quota classes model. I'm sure you're aware and very familiar with that. So, how students from all over India, they go to Rajasthan quota for cram sessions of sorts for 2-year, 3-year period, and they're subjected to extreme pressure and tension during that period. I'm an IITM myself, but although I never went to quota classes, I know how insanely pressurized that atmosphere is for the kids. They are not even able to breathe, so it's creating a lot of depression in those kids. Plus there are so many other assorted issues. So let's say we replace the whole quota classes model entirely with MyPal. How can your system reduce the pressure on the kids effectively, so that they learn what is required, and their conceptual fundae are all clear. But what is also equally important is we don't want to overburden them. Who knows better? The student as well as the teacher, they know better, right? When the pressure is too much and they need to take a step back, right? Mental pressure is too much, they need to take a step back. So do you enable something of that sort in your platform here?
Right.
Students can take effective breaks?
Right. So Ashish, one point that we touched upon is the personalized content and personalized learning, right?
Great.
So before that, the one of the core fundamental feature that we have is adaptive learning. Okay.
Right.
So what we do, for example, when student practices on our platform, right? So we actually understand the student's level, right, where he stands currently, and we want to take him level by level. For example, like from the Bloom's taxonomy point of view, there are different levels of understanding, like knowledge, skill, understanding, and application, right? If a student just have, if a student can apply some concept and solve some problem, first of all he need to understand at a knowledge level, so he need to understand the concepts, right? Then he need to develop skills, then you need to understand the skills very well, right? Then only he can apply, right? So each and every the data point, right, the concepts, the questions that we have on our platform has been tagged with these parameters: knowledge, skill, application, and understanding, right? So whenever a student practices on our platform, we understand his level and we take step by step, right? So there is no undue pressure on the kid, right? And hopefully, right, like we want to give him a path, right? That is the goal based approach. You are capable of finding an engineering seat in Karnataka, then what you should do, right? So for that, we want to take him step by step. And third approach is that involving the teacher, right, and giving mentorship. See, for any kid or a student, just giving a platform where he studies himself is one part. Second is that you need to connect with the right mentors, isn't it? So if you provide them with the right mentors and give them the right guidance, I'm definitely sure that it takes a lot of pressure off the kids. So we are providing with the right mentor connect on our platform, so that overall the whole stress factor can be reduced for the student.
Yeah. So hi, Vinay.
Hi.
I think I had a question. That's why I had to come back.
Sure.
We talk a lot about personalized and adaptive learning, right? As a framework to improve, I would say, learning experience, right? Ultimately, the student. And in terms of I wanted to deep dive, a little bit on, what are the challenges in coming up with the framework for personalization? I think it totally depends on, a lot of, I mean, there are matters like, the type of the student, the learning behavior, the psychology aspects, and a lot of things. As you rightly said, there is a lot of scope for using AI and, some algorithms. But to some startup, right, start wanting to get into, say, AI-driven learning or education, you have spent, with students into schools and spend significant time with the customers, right? So I wanted to learn more about the getting the customer feedback and also the users, because here the paying customer might be a different the user. It's a very sophisticated sort of model when it comes to it. So so what are these parameters that vary for you? The frame.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So Kashyap, as you rightly mentioned, the personalized learning, adaptive learning has been there from long time, right? Like a decade or maybe 15 years or so, right? But the model has to make sense in a context, right? So our approach is that you have to apply these models where it makes sense. One is that it makes sense for a student in the school or college itself. Second is that it has to be tied to the goals, right? Otherwise, what will happen is that you just have a fancy model where student does not use and does not get benefited out of it, right? So, and third is that important factor is to involve teachers, right? So if you involve teachers and give the right metrics to the teachers in terms of conceptual gaps the student has, right, both in terms of the cohort level as well as the individual level, then only the coaching can happen better. So what we feel is that adaptive learning and personalized learning should be a tools for a means, right? The goals. The goal is what? Goal is to improve the academic outcome. Goal is to help student to achieve their goals, whatever they have set for, either in competitive examination or otherwise, right?
Yeah.
Involve within an ecosystem, right? Provide the right tools around that, so that it makes much more sense in terms of the delivery model, the business model, and the real benefit for the kids, the students, as well as the teachers. So these aspects are very important. Being in the ecosystem, providing the right other tools along with the core personalized learning and adaptive learning.
Yeah. So I think I couldn't agree more. So you mentioned about Bloom's taxonomy. A lot of people may not really understand it. I think it's a very specific thing to I would say assessments. Since one of the
Yes.
topics touched today was how to devise a framework or come up with a model for say personalized assessment.
Mm-hmm.
So as you rightly said, there are several levels of understanding when it comes to how Bloom's taxonomy has with say a very basic level of just a knowledge where there is then probably think ability to recreate or ability. So there are like up to 7 levels in Bloom's. There's also
Yes.
a level where there's a positive like where's a project. So one thing that is very obvious is when it digital mode, you cannot go beyond 4, level 4 of Bloom's, which is sort of a kind of a tricky. Most of the learning happens when people do actually start doing things, right? All of us,
Mm-hmm.
including most of the EdTech startups, fundamental challenge is how do you the right schema, right? You can probably saying that this question is level 4, this question is level 1, this question is level 2, but validating it, are there scientific standard or metrics? So these are all very open-ended questions. I mean, evolving field in itself, right? Because a
Right.
lot of academicians, a lot of teachers also somehow there's a lot of debate around using Bloom's taxonomy also. As you might,
Right.
some teachers are not very comfortable because it often tends to not really work in all cases.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing, it's work on it. But how do you, as a founder or as a business guy, in the tech, it's a challenging thing to come up with a model that actually works. And, it is making sense for the users to use because a lot of stakeholders are involved in it. There is one, the validity, which Bloom's takes care to a certain extent. And then there is acceptance, right, where the teachers or whoever is there, the facilitator, and then which is actually the most important. So how do students feel when they're being judged or when they're put in a framework, right? To subtly kind of make sure that it's not kind of leading to what I mean, right? It's not leading to a place where they feel unsatisfied, right? When they see that they're still not getting to a level 4. It's kind of a comparative thing. So what's your
Right.
take on it? I mean, it's not a question, but how do you look at this whole thing as somebody in the tech space?
Right. So, Kashyap, a very interesting question. See, for example, we also have done research on generative learning model and try to involve some of those aspects in designing our app, actually, right? Like we did a lot of research on that along with Bloom's taxonomy. So this question is kind of interesting because, see, these models exist, but how to ensure that these models are applicable and also used and appreciated by the different stakeholders, right? So one is, what we should do is that, for example, what we are doing, we are applying Bloom's taxonomy, right? For example, we are developing a content for 11th and 12th, right? For example, NCERT, NEET, JEE, assume, right? Now, we are in fact working along with a pool of SMEs who understand this concept, this content very well, right? And we are giving them a framework, right? And getting that tagging or additional qualification by the experts themselves, right? It is not something that only machine will do. So machine may fine tune the parameters later, but the first step is to that, get the help of the experts who understand the content very well. They have 15-20 years of experience in understanding that content, and give them the framework, right? This is how our platform take the content, right? You yourself mark add these parameters like knowledge, skill, understanding, or application, right? Now, from the student's point of view, what we are trying to do is that we have a learning module where it's a self-practice. There, even for example, in our one of module, student can mark a question as I don't know, right? So we are not judging a student. First of all, we are taking out that factor. Boss, here we are there to help you, right? First of all, if you don't tell that we don't know the answer for this question, how will you improve, right? So this so there are two aspects. One is that assessment by the faculty or the institution, which is more like where there is a judgment, right? There is one more module, there is no judgment at all, right? There is a lot of self practice which happens where that data is available for only for the student, right? Then what happens is that and he also can mark I don't know what is important, what is difficult for the student. So we get a lot of data points from the students himself, right? And we make him comfortable for him or her to understand his level, so that then what happens is that the students understand their goals very well. Today's kids are very smart, right? And they know what they are up to, right? So it is this is where you just have to nudge maybe some nudge learning. You have to bring in, understand the student mentality, and differentiate these modules separately, so that they can work seamlessly. This is our approach. I think still there is some more way for us to fine tune this further.
Absolutely, I think it's a lot of. I think Chinese tech firms also are getting into personalization and AI. So there's a company called Squirrel.ai, a Chinese company invested, and all big. So I think it's a field that's evolving, especially in India. I think if you see the factors that are influenced, or rather, that come into play when personalization is phenomenal. The cultural background of people, their understanding of language, their understanding and interpretation, and of course, taxonomy, that is, how well they understood something purely in terms of the content. And it's a field where this is called as learning science, for obvious reasons that it's a science of learning, because it deals with a lot of areas that are not very known. Right. Because we are talking about the brain, right? How people are thinking, how they're perceiving things and all that. So very interesting. We have questions now. Let us take questions. So I think firstly, very simple thing. What for my path?
Sorry, I lost that question because of the network issue. Can you repeat it?
Yeah. The question is, currently make money. What is your business model?
Right. So our business model currently is to provide coaching platform. Right. See, there are large number of institutions who wants to provide additionally the whole coaching in the school itself. Right. NEET, JEE, or CET. Yeah. Right. And we provide them with a complete coaching platform along with the adaptive learning and personalized learning. Right. The content is entirely based on this coaching the goal they have. Right. So for an institute, when they adopt our coaching platform, what they get the complete platform with assessment platform and learning app and the content along with the books. So for them, for example, for an institution, it is a one decision to make, and they in fact can provide this coaching to their students, right? And they can definitely pay charge higher fees, right? And the student need not have to go to and enroll to an online player again, right? Because if the coaching happens in the college itself. So there is a huge emergence of this integrated institute, right? So our current platform is fully tuned for this integrated institute, so that we provide this platform and we charge per student basis. So this is currently how we are making money. Second business model that we are evolving with is that our micro mentoring platform, right? So since we understand the students gap precisely in terms of in terms of the conceptual gaps the student has, right? we want to provide him with a micro mentoring or micro coaching, where we don't want to charge the student very high, right? The student can just pay 100 to 500 rupees and get 1 or 2 days micro mentoring, right? And just to bridge those gaps, right? It's kind of a form of an edge learning. And this we want to evolve as a B2B2C upselling model going forward. And we are almost about to launch this.
Oh, interesting. So, I mean, as somebody who's been in the EdTech space, it's a mind is, how you really, validate your product in terms of product market fit is always needed, right? So you spent about 1.5 years, I guess, right? About a year or so.
Yes.
So how? Tell me, like, walk me through, your I would say method or your approach to kind of say that yes, we have cracked a good product market fit where you can be confident and saying that this is a model that works. I know that it's evolving; it's always kind of an evolutionary thing, but at least to reach a fair enough understanding, how long did it take, and a little bit about your background and your team perhaps would help, because I think that also would have probably helped.
Yes, absolutely. Right. So Kashyap, we are 4 co-founders, and 2 of our other co-founders, we are into the EdTech space from pretty long time, like 10 to 12 years, and we have been catering to the universities for their process automation, especially in the digital evaluation space. So we have been interacting with the academicians, teachers, and all from pretty long time, and this is the the whole product market fit in terms of the vision that we have, right, to improve the learning outcome, right? But at the same time, making sure that it is much more needed at the solving the current problem, so that we have a current product market fit. So to find out, that's why we found out and come up with a coaching platform, right? When the coaching platform is adopted by the institutions, they in fact start giving the coaching in their school itself, right? So this is our validation. So we have 2 distinct markets, right? So especially in South India, right now there is a good emergence of integrated institutes. There have been traditional institutes who wants to improve their outcome in terms of coaching, and guys like Narayana, Chaitanya, Akash, right? So these are the guys who definitely need a lot of upgradation in terms of their platform and content abilities, right? So these are the one target segment. Second is that there is huge tutorial segment, especially in the North India, right? And so for them also, in order to take on to big online players nowadays, you see this Byju's makes a Byju's advertisement has clear messaging. After the school, only Byju's classes. Now where this 20,000, 50,000 odd tuitions will go, right? So they need to improve in terms of their academic outcome also, in terms of their teaching also, in terms of their content also, right? So these are the 2 market segments where we can make a difference, right? So so once we are like currently cracking both of them, so we already have say 35 institutions tied up with us in last 8 months of our launch, probably 9 months of our launch, and we already have 15 paid customers and almost 15 to 20 tutorials. For example, we have many customers in Gujarat, Maharashtra, and Punjab, but we never visited there, right? This is all happening organically. And further we improve our fine tune our product market fit. We are pretty much sure of growing and capturing much more market. But essentially our value propositions that improve the academic outcome of the students with personalized learning and personalized adaptive learning with a good content.
Right. All right. So one more thing I wanted to ask you is, how hard, I think you partly answered that question. I think COVID and this whole pandemic probably helped a lot of edtech companies, and especially in the customer psychology, where at one point, say, people always expected you to physically present and pitch to them, and that whole sales cycle used to take a lot more time. I think all of us would agree on that as tech folks. But still, I think there seems to be challenges, because even though they say yes, from hearing a yes to probably getting the sale, I think it's still that journey that takes some time. So as talking again about So EdTech in the area of personalization and say, it's a new field. Though you're addressing the same problem of helping students learn better for competitive exams and all that. It's a new kind of approach. I think there are some companies, I would say, your competitors, perhaps like Mbibe, famously acquired by Reliance, and there are some companies that are into personalizing. Now even companies like Topper and they have these elements now. You cannot exactly. So do you think you are up against a huge? So I mean, you heavily funded companies, or how does the entire scenario looks like in specific to say adaptive and customized learning? I mean personalized learning.
Right. See how we see adaptive and personalized learning as tools, and as tools which will help in academic outcome, right? So even though personal and adaptive learning forms the core of our product, right, our focus is on the users, the teachers and students, right? So for example, if we can provide a very good value proposition for both common teachers in the schools and colleges and to the students, right, and that is where is the winning game, right? So we want to really focus on that, and our fundamental strength lies in probably adaptive learning content that we already have developed in last 1.5 2 years, but providing the right experience and right results for the students is very important, and involving the their own teachers is extremely important, and we have been doing that well, because see, whenever we go and pitch to the college or school, right, one good input that we hear is that from teachers, they say that you are built for students, but I'm very happy to say that you have also considered the teachers problem very well, and I am very happy to use your platform to teach my kids, right? Because for example, earlier teacher used to spend 2 days to create an assessment. It just happens in 5 minutes in our platform, along with all the analytics the student teacher can get, right? So and we just want to focus there, and let us, I mean, since it opportunity is so big, so we are not thinking too much on the competition side, we are more thinking on the user side, and trying to help them better.
Right. Fantastic. So any closing remarks, Vinay? I mean, how do you see the future of MyPal, and tell us something about your fundraising or anything that you're looking for.
Right, Kashyap. So soon we have been one interesting thing that is happening is that we have been selected for the interview for Y Combinator, and we have been we'll be giving them the interview on December 2nd.
Congrats,
so
congratulations.
So if we can go through the Y Combinator, that will be very good for us in terms of our visibility, what we want to do.
Yeah.
And second is that we just want to focus on providing the very good platform for the schools and colleges, so that we become their first choice, right, in terms of adapting any platform for their core academic activities. So that will be our core focus area. In terms of fundraising, we have raised some fund from the angel investors, that our friends and families. Currently, we are looking to raise $1 million from some seed investors. So we have been talking to some people, and hopefully we want to close some deals in a couple of months.
Oh, fantastic! All the best for that.
Thanks a lot, Krishan. Yes.
We'll be happy to help you as Startup Grind to connect you with suitable folks. So connect you with suitable folks, and probably help you in getting closer to say fundraising. So you already have a great mentor, I think Ashish. So has been
yes. Ashish has been really great mentor, and Ashish and INC Mantra have definitely helped us a lot in terms of fine tuning our thought process. Making us introduced to very good experts, and giving us the right inputs and directions. And really happy to involve associated with Ashish, and now of course Startup Grind and you. Yes.
Sure. So all right then, thank you so much, Vinay. Thank you for sharing your insights. Wish you good luck in raising your next round of funding, and
Sure.
to the Startup Grind community. We are going to host many more things, and create a lot of value for the ecosystem. So thanks once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Kashyap. Thanks, Ashish. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Yes.
So the next session will start at 3 p.m. Again, it will be moderated by Ashish, and I'll also be there. We will, cover more about upskilling in the higher education space, right? The role of upskilling, and so we'll have the founder of Unschool coming, Narayan. He will be joining. So I think, yeah, let us wait for it. So see you, I think, in 15 minutes, guys. So this is a live thing. So thank you.
Thank you.